I'm calling it now. This is the feature that changes how we use AI in business. Because for the first time, you are able to take your company's playbooks and install them directly into AI so it performs exactly the way you designed it. Claude's new skills feature lets you train your own AI specialists on your frameworks and tools, turning procedures into real execution. And this isn't just about Claude, it's raising the bar for every large language model out there, including ChatGPT. In this video, I'll show you exactly how to train Claude on your own SOPs, how to create your first skill from scratch, and I'll show you how I used it to create a listing strategist AI that can generate listings, scrape reviews, and analyze your reports. So let's dive in. So why are we even talking about procedures for AI? What is it, and why should you care? If you've ever used a large language model before, like Claude or ChatGPT, you know that it's not always easy to get consistent results. That sometimes it gets it right on the first try, it's perfect. And other times you need to go back and forth multiple times and it still doesn't get it quite right. And this becomes a problem if you want to standardize quality in your business, especially if you have a team and everyone is using AI differently. And these are actually the exact same problems we face with people if we don't have procedures. You know, they do things differently every single time. They need constant back and forth to explain what the task is about, and they struggle to maintain quality and consistency. And for this reason, Anthropic, the company behind Claude, introduced Claude Skills. They allow you to do the exact same thing as procedures. They let us apply a level of structure and consistency to AI. So it also allows us to then train the AI on our frameworks and on our workflows. So we moved from kind of generalist AI assistant to an expert level AI specialist that can deliver these predictable results. So what we are essentially going to do is that we are going to use Claude Skills to basically install our SOPs into our AI. So then the AI executes exactly as we designed it. And since this is designed by Anthropic, we also know that Anthropic was the first one who introduced MCPs. Those are the connectors, right? Those are how you connect your tools like Claude or ChatGPT to any other external tool, and it became the standard. So I believe that Skills will become a standard for process execution. So for now, we only have it in Claude, but sooner or later, I believe that we will see that in any other large language model. So before we dive into some explanations, I actually want to show you how Claude Skills work. So if we hop into our Claude and go into settings in order to activate this, we will go to capabilities. And then we need to make sure that code and execution and file creation is activated. That will enable us to use skills. Once we do that, you can scroll down and find this section called Skills. As you can see, repeatable, customizable instructions that Claude can follow in any chat. There will be multiple skills by default, and these are there by Anthropic, right? We have some brand guidelines, canvas design, MCP builder, theme factory. These are more or less just to show you how this skill works, but the most useful ones will be the skills that we actually create, right? The skills that we create based on our SOPs. So let's create the first one, a simple one. We will use a skill to essentially help us create SOPs for our business. Since we are already talking about SOPs, this will be a simple example. So let me show you. So now we ask Claude to use its meta skill, which is a skill creator, to create an SOP generator skill, right? We are asking Claude that every time we upload a transcript of an instructional video to turn it into a standardized procedure. So now we are creating the skill. As you can see, we will say that the procedure should include objective, inputs, high-level summary, and step-by-step breakdown to keep it short. And we're also asking if there is anything else you need to know from me in order to create this skill. And now you can see that Claude is actually accessing the meta skill, which is the skill creator, which is a skill to create skills, to build our SOP generator. And as you can see now, he's asking us a bunch of questions, what kind of format the transcript will be, what kind of output we want, the tone, audience, step detail level, and so on. So now let me answer these questions. So we simply answered all of the questions. As you can see, now we are standardizing this particular procedure, right? This workflow is there to help us create SOPs for our business. As I said, this is a very simple example, but since we are answering these and specifying these, we will make sure that every single time we create a procedure for our business, it will be following these particular steps and it will be in the same format every single time. So as you can see, Claude used the skill to generate this file, right? We specified what our SOPs based on the transcript should look like, and it will have objective, inputs, high-level summary, and now we have this file, which we will now download. And the last step we have to do is to go back into our capabilities here and simply upload this file into our Claude. So now I simply added the skill, and as you can see here, we have our SOP generator that converts instructional video transcript into standardized operating procedure. So let's try it. Let's try it in a chat. And we will say, hey, Claude, I just added the SOP generator skill. Here is a video transcript. And here, actually, I have a simple transcript of a video I recorded before. So I will copy the transcript from Loom and copy paste it, right? There is no other explanation needed. Now, every single time I want to create an SOP, I simply ask Claude to use the SOP generator skill. So let's see. So now, as you can see, Claude used the transcript to create an SOP. So it includes everything we ask for, the purpose, when to use this SOP, and so on. But you know what? I realized that having the SOP here in chat is not great. I want to save it in our database, in Notion, in our playbook library, and I don't want to copy paste it. So let me go here and actually update the skill, right? In this chat where we ask Claude to create the skill, we will ask him to add an extra step to take this SOP and save it directly into our Notion using the Notion MCP. So let's see. So we simply ask Claude that we would like to add one more step to the SOP generator skill. The last step should be to save that SOP into our Notion in the playbook library database. And as you can see, he simply created a new file. So once again, we have to download this skill and then include it and upload it back into Claude. We simply uploaded the new file, so now our SOP generator has this extra step to save the SOP into our database. So we will try it in chat again, copy paste the transcript and see if all of this works as intended. So the only thing we had to do is to tell Claude to use the new SOP generator skill and copy paste the video transcript. And he will follow the steps, step by step, every single time. So first, he reads the SOP generator skill, what it's about. Then he finds the Notion database, and then he creates the SOP based on our previous instructions. And as you can see, he automatically saved it into our playbook library, troubleshoot, inventory, forecast, accuracy. So we have the objective, we have the inputs, we have the high-level summary, and we have the step-by-step breakdown. And the beauty of this is that every single time we now create a new SOP, it will have the same structure and it will go directly into my Notion. So now you can see the power, right? We essentially created, again, a meta skill for this, for creating procedures, because every business should have procedures, with unified structure. And as you can see, I would probably spend a little bit more time to update the skill to make sure that it looked exactly as I wanted to. So then in the future, I can always create it the exact same way, right? And no description needed. Every single time the output will be the same. So now that you see how you can create Claude skills, let's talk about the types of Claude skills. Because the first type are the simple skills, right? They are kind of guiding the thinking and the structure for the AI. And this essentially is almost like a modular prompt, right? It is mostly text-based, defining the tone, format, or just specifying the logical steps. But where it becomes powerful is when we include analytical skills, because we will be essentially guiding Claude to analyze, calculate, and visualize data every single time the same way. Because this is important. If you have your reports in business, you essentially want to analyze the reports every single time the same way, right? Following some steps and following some operations and calculations. So these analytical skills will trigger the Claude's built-in Python environment. This is essentially code that allows him to interact with large data sets and help you run an analysis. And we will take a closer look at all of this. And lastly, we have the connected skills, where we essentially, one of the steps in our skill is to interact with an external tool, which is what we did right now, right? We told Claude to use our Notion, right? So through the connectors, I actually have another video about this. Through the connectors, we connected our Notion. So now he has access to it. And we didn't have to specify it again, right? We just told him in the skill, and now he knows every single time he creates a procedure, he needs to save it right here. So those would be the connected skills. And of course, you can combine these, right? Because your analytical skill can also be a connected skill interacting with other tools. So maybe you ask him to first get the report from your Google Drive, then analyze it and save the results in Notion, right? That is the beauty of it. We can predefine the skills in any way we want. And as I said, if I was doing this for real and not just for a live demonstration, I would spend a little bit more time. You know, that's the idea. We spent 1 hour, 2 hours building something that will save us the time later on. Now, in terms of the skill sources, you've seen the official skills, right? Those were the brand guidelines by Anthropic, and these are kind of just to show you what's possible. The powerful ones are the custom ones. You know, those are the personalized SOP style workflows. But there are also partner skills. Let me show you. If I open this website by Anthropic on Google, on GitHub and scroll down, there will be partner skills. And since this is very new, right, launched like 2 weeks ago, you can see that there is so far only one, and that's Notion. And if we open this, we actually get a database of skills you can download. Skills someone else created, and you can download them and upload into your Claude to get these capabilities into your Claude. So as you can see, Notion, the team behind Notion, created these skills for meeting intelligence, research and documentation, knowledge capture. All of these skills you can just download and upload it into your Claude very easily. And of course, with that, you also get the community skills, which are the custom skills created by other people. And as you can see already, there are marketplaces for this. And as I said, this is fairly new. So now we have an even marketplace where you can browse these, agents and automation, and you can see what other people created. And if you like it, there is of course some security. Make sure that you are actually downloading it from a reliable source. But if you download it, you can upload it into your Claude and start using it. So you don't have to just create it yourself. And I believe that in the future, people will create powerful skills, for e-commerce and Amazon that you will be able to upload, to analyze specific type of reports and perform specific actions. So you're essentially turning your Claude into the specialized agent. But now we are talking a lot about prompting and skills. So let me explain the structure behind this, because we all know that your AI is only as good as your prompt. In other words, garbage in, garbage out. And in order to really use all of this properly and really have the real leverage here, we need to understand this. First of all, the components, roles, and purpose, right? You've heard about master prompt, you heard about system prompts, MCPs, skills. So let's just break it all down and see how all of this can work together. So of course, the first component is your large language model, your Claude, your ChatGPT. That would be the brain that makes the decisions, reasoning, and all of the interpretation, right? I personally prefer Claude right now, but it can be ChatGPT. Then we have a master prompt. This is your identity, the user's identity, right? Defining who you are, your perspectives and goals, and your communication style. So for example, if I go into my Claude, into settings, this would be my master prompt, right? Explaining who I am, what are my goals, and so on. We need to feed the context into the AI to really use this as much as possible. Then we have the project. That would be your system prompt. That is where we are defining the role of the AI, right? It defines who the AI is, the function, responsibilities, and boundaries of the agent. So if, for example, I go into my projects here, I will have my data analyst. And as you can see, the instructions here are your specialized data analyst for Amazon and e-commerce businesses. Your expertise includes PPC campaigns and so on. So here I'm describing who the AI is, right? That is the role, the system prompt. And then we have the skills, right? Those are the playbooks. As I said, modular prompts. Those define how tasks should be done, the SOP logic, best practices, your frameworks, and your standards. And lastly, we have MCPs, the model context protocols, and this essentially allows us to connect our AI to other tools, because we don't just want to operate within the limits of our chat, we want to interact with the world, ideally through the skills. So we can connect our Google Sheets, we can even connect, Amazon potentially, Notion, Asana, everything you need can be connected through MCPs. And now if you connect all of this, you will really unlock superpowers. And 90% of people really don't use this properly. So let's take a look how to actually implement this the right way into your business. So if we take a look here at the real world application, because here it really becomes powerful. Now imagine every single team member on your team is having their own AI copilot like this. And I'm going to show you some specific examples. And the AI copilot is trained on the exact SOPs and workflows. They have access to all of the tools, right? And most importantly, they have all of the relevant context. They know, the AI knows who it's working with. The AI knows what it should do because it has its own system prompt. And of course, it has access to the skills, so it's only waiting to be prompted by the user to do the right job. So in this example, let's say we have a brand manager, right? Most of us have a brand manager in our business. So the brand manager, the master prompt would define that I'm a brand manager for this brand. These are my goals. These are my responsibilities. This is the company I work for. These are my KPIs, and these are my preferences. Talk to me like this. I prefer robotics, straight to the point, whatever. And also the KPIs, what matters to me, how I'm rewarded in my job, right? What are the numbers in the business I'm responsible for? That would be my master prompt. Then I would create projects, let's say like a listing strategist that I'm going to show you today, right? The listing strategist, let me show you. Here, my listing strategist, it's a system prompt. You're a listing strategist for Amazon sellers. Your goal is to maximize listing performance through data-driven optimization. And then we have a bunch of other instructions on how to behave. So now the AI knows exactly what its role is in a relationship to me, to the brand manager. It will help me create, optimize, and analyze Amazon listings. This acts as the system prompt. In most large language models, they call it a project, but essentially it is a system prompt instructing the AI how to behave. And lastly, we will have the skills, right? So in this example, I'm going to show you 3 skills. Listing creator, generating keyword optimized copy using brand guidelines. Review analyzer, which is extracting patterns and insights from customer reviews. And also to show you the analytical capabilities, an SQPR analyzer that evaluates performance, data, and identifies improvement areas. And also then the MCPs, because we kind of want to connect, to our database in Notion. We will use Epify, which is a website scraper, to get access to reviews, to the content of the reviews, and potentially Google Drive, where we have our product briefs and listing archives. So let's take a look at it. First of all, when creating the skills, that is of course the first step. I like to keep it, under one roof in a skill creator project, dedicated workspace for creating and refining custom Claude skills. Because as I said, sometimes you go back to make adjustments to the skill, as I did with the SOP generator, right? I asked, hey, it would be nice to actually save it in Notion. So I like to keep them organized like this in a project called Skill Creator. And of course, he has a system prompt. You're a skill creation specialist. Your primary job is to help me create high quality custom skills for Claude. Now, the first one will be Amazon listing generator skill creation. And I'm not going to do this live because it's actually quite a lot of work to do this, but I will explain everything I did. So in this example, we wanted to create a listing creator. So first of all, I copy pasted a specific listing into Claude to help me create this skill, right? So I said, this skill will be generating a full Amazon listing, title, bullet points, and ideas for secondary images and A+ content. It will generate this based on a list of keywords that we gather during our research phase, right? So we are already prompting it what will be the input and what will be the output. The input will be a list of keywords and the output would be fully optimized listing. Here's an example of a well-optimized listing that will serve as our template, right? We are thinking what we can provide to it to get the same output every single time. So we want to share some ideas and some examples. So here I just copy pasted the content of the listing. I also included the images, the image suggestion should reflect the product and the target customer. And as I said, if I was doing this like for a real business, I would spend more time, more iterations, but the idea here is that you talk to Claude in order to create the skills. No coding, nothing. You're just having a conversation, right? So I also ask me if you need more details to create these skills. Do not create the skill until approved. And suddenly he started asking me a bunch of questions, maybe stuff I wouldn't even think about, keyword handling, intelligently prioritize, do this or that, output structure. Do you want just title bullets, image ideas, or do you want backend search terms as well? I forgot about these. So of course, image suggestions, customization, all of these things he's asking us because he wants to create a skill in a way that we can just get it right the first try to create consistent results. That's what he helps us to do. So I answered all of the questions and he's like, got it. Here's what the skill will do. Amazon listing generator. So he's now describing what the skill will do and waiting for my approval. So he's saying title, how he's going to do that, bullet points. And if I wanted some iterations, I would tell him. Then the logic, keyword prioritization and so on. And I was like, yes, let's generate the skill. Then he uses the meta skill, the skill creator, to generate the skill. So as you can see, he's creating it. And here he's done. So then I would simply download the skill and upload it the exact same way. So as you would see here in my capabilities, we would have Amazon listing generator, generates optimized Amazon listings. And now this is where really the beautiful part begins, because if we go into our skills, we have our listing strategist. As I mentioned here, our listing strategist, our project. And now the listing strategist, if I will work with it in the future, he's instructed that he has access to 3 skills, which I will also show you: the listing creator, the review analyzer, and the SQPR analyzer. So we can essentially have multiple skills within this project. In this case, we have 3. And here you can see a test of the, we can see the test of the listing generator. So what I did, I was just, hey Claude, I just added Amazon listing generator skill. Here are my keywords. Boom, I uploaded an Excel file. If I wanted to make it a little bit more comprehensive, the first step would be to go to my Google Drive and get it yourself, but in this case, I just uploaded it. And he was like, yes, perfect. He opened the skill, understood what I want to do. He extracted the keyword data from Excel, and then he created the listing on the first try. No back and forth, no telling him, hey, can you do this? Oh, maybe I forgot. No, everything is already predefined. I just did the thing and it's there. So the optimized listing, again, he just got a list of keywords, nothing else. And he created a title, he created bullet points, all according to the original template I sent him. He created backend search terms, and also the secondary image ideas, just describing what the image should be about, secondary image lifestyle hero shot, size and dimension infographic, basically based on the template. So if you have some brand guidelines, like your own framework for creating listings, you would teach Claude and then just upload keywords or maybe some other inputs you'd like to add. In this case, it was only keywords and search volumes, and done. It follows your procedure. You just trained it, right? Then we can see A+ content module ideas, brand hero, elevated cocktail experience, and so on. And then he also has some notes on the optimization strategy. So as you can see, no back and forth, no explaining, no long prompt engineering. We've already done all the hard work, and now we can just execute the same way every single time. But we have more skills, right? So let's take a look into our skill creator. We also created Amazon review dashboard. So let's take a look at this one, because this one is a little bit more complicated. Here we asked him to create a new comprehensive skill. On a high level, we will scrape Amazon listing reviews, a large data set, so Python code might be required, and then generate a dashboard which will be predefined in our skill. So it's always the same. It should include summary, product selection, product section for strengths and weaknesses, product improvements, and listing section, ideas for images to optimize conversion based on feedback. I also added the colors, which didn't look as good as I expected. So in the future, I would let Claude actually to use its own color selection, not adding my colors. But other than that, it turned out pretty well. So it started creating the architecture of the dashboard, right? Because this is more complex. Now we're asking that the skill will be creating a dashboard based on the data set. So we first need to specify, how many reviews will be there and so on. So we went back and forth. I'm just answering questions, right? Nothing hard. He's asking me everything he needs to know, simply answering questions. Then he creates the dashboard, creates the file, that I downloaded. And really nothing complicated about it, just answering his questions. And after a few minutes, we had a simple skill, which I downloaded. And now, the beautiful thing about this skill is that it also interacts with an MCP, with Apify MCP. And since I'm talking a lot about MCPs, I have a whole new video that will be linked below talking about setting up your MCPs, right? How to scrape reviews on Amazon and how to do all of these things right from your Claude. But in this case, it's already included in this particular Claude skill. So let's go back into our listing strategist that I already ran this analysis before. And let's give it a second to load. And if we go right here, we said, hey, Claude, I just added the Amazon review dashboard skill. Run an analysis for this ASIN on the Amazon US marketplace. And I just copy pasted the ASIN and just used which Apify actor to use. If you don't know what this is, you better watch the other video. But this basically just enables you to download all of the reviews from Amazon through your Claude, so you can then analyze them and get some insights, right? So as you can see, he ran immediately. Again, simple. I just copy pasted the ASIN using the skill, and he knows what to do. He downloaded the reviews. He saved the reviews, analyzed the reviews, and according to the skill, he generated the dashboard. So as you can see, analysis completed, what was analyzed, key findings, but most importantly, he created the dashboard. And as I said, it didn't work out with the colors, but the information there is actually pretty good, right? So as you can see, colors not good, but let's focus on the data we got out of it. So just on one prompt, give me the insights. So he scraped the product, number of reviews, every trading. And now the most important thing, he analyzed all of the reviews to give us key insights about this product. He gave us a breakdown of strengths, what customers love. And again, this is what we asked for. So it will be the same every single time. We just scrape another product. The dashboard will be the same. Key insights, top strengths, and weaknesses, areas for improvement, right? Since let's say this is our competition, those are some things we could consider targeting in our listing because these are the things that people are complaining in the reviews. Durability concerns. Significant number of customers report glasses breaking or shattering easily, some within first use. So as you can see, critical, common, high impact. And based on this, he also gives us product improvements, actionable recommendation. Potentially increasing glass wall thickness, add quality control, include handling care, cart in packaging, and so on. He also adds complexity, how complex would be to implement these changes. Of course, again, I didn't spend as much time providing the context, creating the skill. So if I was creating it for my own business, I would spend a few more hours refining this. So the dashboard always provides all of the information I need. But you get the point, right? And then he also adds listing optimization ideas, essentially how to target the weaknesses of our competitor. Close-up cross-section showing glass thickness at rim bowl and stem with measurement callouts, because this addresses the top concern, which is the thickness and fragility of our competition. So as you can see, then he tells us to add infographics, size guide, use case, potentially some lifestyle images. He prioritizes all of these. So as you can see, this is a very good breakdown. And now it is in a unified way presented to us, no matter what product we scrape, right? One prompt, great result every single time. But we are still not done yet. Now we are getting into the third one, into actual data analysis, where Claude is using Python, the code, to analyze data. So we went to Skill Creator, and this one you actually had to do it in two. We had search query performance, right, report. So if we go up here, we just copy pasted this. It's like 1,000 rows. And now we're having a conversation with Claude about the dashboard. I don't even know what I want to see in this case. So I just copy pasted this report and told him like, hey, what should the dashboard include? So he analyzes the dashboard and he starts telling me, it should have some executive summary, some query performance matrix, and so on and so on. So we had a little bit of back and forth designing the dashboard, right? And then I told him, hey, my goal is to create Claude skill, but I will do that in a separate chat. I only need your high-level instructions about the dashboard so I can copy-paste it there. Focus on the structure of the dashboard. So now he just, after the conversation, the final dashboard, he gave me this. So I just copy-pasted what he gave me into my skill creator. And I put it there and ask Claude to actually turn this into a skill, right? So I simply copy pasted the data, the final result, what we want our dashboard to look like. And we said, hey, create us this dashboard. Again, I asked for the colors. It didn't work out. And he created the skill for SQPR dashboards, right? Because likely you want to analyze these dashboards, analyze the data, and it's not always easy to find what's relevant in these reports. And again, this is something we do again and again and again. So it makes sense for us to have a skill, to do it the same way every single time. Make sure that the way we do it is actually good enough. Because if you take this data set and just throw it into your AI, sometimes it will be great. It creates first try, it's amazing. And then 5 times in a row, it will suck and you will waste time trying to get it right. So now we have the skill. And since we created the skill for the listing strategies again, we have our SQPR analysis. So as you can see, we can hop here. And what we did, we just uploaded the data into Claude, right? We uploaded the data into Claude and asked for him to use the skill, attached report, and use the skill as described. And it is the same case as with the reviews. He creates the dashboard in the same way every single time, right? So as we defined the dashboard, we get this executive overview, query performance, funnel breakdown. So as you can see, key insights, funnel performance versus the market. So he even compares how our brand is doing compared with the market average, the click-through rates, the cart ad rates, and so on. And then he identifies the primary bottlenecks, and then we can dig into the data in these sections. As I said many times, like if I was doing this to have like a proper dashboard, I would spend time, I would refine this. First of all, the colors, of course, but then I would sit down and make sure that this is broken down in a way that I actually use this, right? Remove everything I don't need, add things that I'm missing, refine this a few times. But the idea is that once I do this once, then I can reuse it again and again. And of course, if you set this up correctly, you can easily double the productivity of every single person on your team. And I can tell you that I speak to dozens and dozens of sellers, helping them build their teams, their systems. And this is the new way of building teams, right? We don't need an army of VAs. We need a small team of air players that are using AI properly. So let me show you what that looks like. If you would run a proper audit to build this structure of the project, skills, tools, we talked about everything, how to actually do this. Because the main issue is that most people use AI randomly, right? They kind of have a task and they just kind of throw it into AI to see what comes out. But we need to start using it intentionally and make it an essential part of our workflows. The same way you do with other software. Like you don't think, when should I use Data Dive or Helium 10 or whatever? It's part of your workflow, right? You know that you go there in order to get some data, right? It's part of your workflow and you need to work in the exact same way with AI. So what I recommend is to start by running a quick audit with your team. Let's say every single team member should identify their top 6, 8 routines, their tasks, and then just pick the 3 most impactful ones and start building the foundation around it. I like flowcharts, right? I like process maps. So I do it this way, that we identify the systems, the product development, marketing, whatever that is, break it down into processes and see what is actually happening. What are the tasks and decisions in every single process? You can do it in a simple way. Just list it in Excel. Do whatever it takes, write down every single person on your team, write down the tasks they are responsible for on a high level, and then you can sit down and prepare the AI Copilot foundation, which, if we take a look at this AI org chart, let's say you have your employee brand manager. We've been through this. So what do you need for a brand manager? You need your master prompt. What are the KPIs? Who is this person, right? What is their role, their accountability in the business? Then create projects accordingly, right? You need to break this down ideally again by the processes. So if we have listing strategies that helps us optimize listings, then we likely have some product researcher to help us develop new products or find new products, develop new products. And then each project then has the skills. Like skill, we had the listing creator, review analyzer, SQPR analyzer, and so on. And then every single tool skill potentially needs access to a tool. Google Spreadsheets, Epify for scraping, maybe Notion, right? Maybe even Seller Central. So just break it down like this and start building it out, right? So ideally, take a print screen here, remember what the structure looks like, and once you have all of the context, the skills, the tools, like I'm really willing to bet that doubling the productivity, it's really an understatement in this case. And that's it for this video. So we also have our AI Agents Resource Vault where I add all of the resources I gather, videos I learn from, tools I use, also the automations we create. I just share it there, if you want to see N8N automations, we have them there. So this is a resource section that I will keep updating. So you will find the link in the description. Essentially, if you want to start implementing AI agents and automations into your business, this will be your best place to kind of get access to the best information out there. Because as you know, keeping up to date with all of the changes, it's not easy. So I'm doing my best to keep this organized there for you. So make sure to check it out. And the next video to watch, if you haven't seen it already, is about setting up your own MCPs. From the official connectors to creating custom connectors like the Epify to scrape your reviews. So make sure to check it out right now. And I will see you next week. Bye.